It's been a while since I've uploaded a video to this channel because I've been focused a lot on streaming. Funnily enough, I was planning on making a video review of Infinity Nikki a while back. I'd started writing a script and decided against it because the Spilling the Tea news post on their website had me thinking a lot of my concerns for the game were being addressed. So I decided to wait for the 1.5 update before putting my thoughts on the game into a video, and after watching the special program for the update, I started thinking about making a new player guide instead. I was very excited for the update, and I really thought it would be a good time for new players to start, because the game was coming to Steam, and we were getting so many pulls and reruns of the Heartfelt Gifts outfits. Instead, I'm honestly heartbroken with the state of the game. That sounds dramatic, but I really did have high hopes for this update that it made me emotional the more I thought about the problems I had. I wanted to share what my problems with Infinity Nikki are, both before this update and now that we're here, so you can hopefully understand why it matters to me. So if anyone is wondering what my Infinity Nikki review video was going to look like before I decided to wait for the update, it was going to be mostly positive, with just a few concerns and criticisms. I think the game had an excellent start in version 1.0 with a story that wasn't groundbreaking, but served its purpose well for guiding players through the different areas of the game, and there was potential for a great story to be written using the foundations that 1.0 laid out. A criticism I would have given the game was that it fails to capitalize on this potential through updates. The story and updates past launch were all either complete filler, with Nikki and Momo attending festivals, or it was really short and felt badly paced for it. For example, Aina the Curator was a mysterious figure in version 1.0 who tasked us with finding the miracle outfits, and we got to meet her again in version 1.1. But despite the build-up, the story ends so quickly with Aina disappearing without really giving us more information on the mysteries that were surrounding her in the first place. I felt the same way about the main story in the Eerie Season update. Players were time-gated from completing the second part of the story, and in the end I was left with this feeling of, that's it, after waiting a week to be able to finish it. But aside from concerns with pacing, I didn't mind the filler too much. I thought maybe that was just the trade-off Infinity Nikki was giving its players. Maybe we'll get a substantial update with new regions and story every 6 or 12 months, with filler in between. I would have liked more, but I'm okay with the game being a really casual experience. I've had concerns with how the game is being monetized since version 1.0, and would have talked about them in this review as well. For those who weren't there or don't remember, the second half of version 1.0 introduced an update that changed the shop, battle pass, and gacha banner icons to be bright gold and animated on your screen at all times. It was seriously jarring and kind of upsetting to see that the developers were spoiling the cozy, comfortable atmosphere they'd worked hard to create in order to remind everyone that they can spend money on the game. They rolled back this change because of negative feedback, but it's honestly always been one step forward then one step back since. We got 5-star banners to last the entire patch instead of just the first half, and the time-limited pulls that were given away in version 1.0 were changed to regular ones in version 1.1. But we also had a new floating outfit that made you float faster, right after version 1.0 had a floating outfit that was just cosmetic. The banner also introduced a new photo prop rewarded after doing 160 pulls, which was kind of annoying to miss out on. Version 1.2 gave out a ton of free rewards for Chinese New Year, but I didn't like seeing the Unbound Pass behind a paywall. Version 1.3 actually had a 4-star outfit with a similar ability that I really liked seeing as an alternative for free-to-play players. But then version 1.4 introduced a new gacha currency for paying players that you can only use on the 4-star banners. The back and forth was irritating, but it wasn't so big of a deal to change my largely positive view of the game. Leading up to version 1.5's release, I was really excited for the game because the special program made it look amazing. We were getting multiplayer, 2 new areas to explore, and I was finally going to get to see what's the big deal with the Star Sea dress. What I mean by that is that I'm someone who has only played Infinity Nikki, not the previous Nikki games, so I only understand the significance of this dress from how other players have described it. I was excited to see how the story would be adapted into Infinity Nikki, so we could share in that joy as well. I want to address this specific point before I continue. I believe the reason the Spilling the Tea news update addressed concerns of filler was because it was mainly fans of Love Nikki and Shiny Nikki who complained about it. I've seen a lot of feedback online from these fans criticizing the lack of character development Nikki has in Infinity Nikki, as opposed to the other games. I want to be completely honest here, as someone who didn't play those games, this criticism has always confused me. I really enjoyed Nikki as a character through the Infinity Nikki story. She's a really kind person who is always wanting to help others, but she can be assertive and speak up when she needs to. The version 1.0 story was about a series of mysterious coma incidents, and it felt believable to me that Nikki would go to the lengths she did to help. I enjoyed her banter with Momo and the bond between the two of them. And I actually think it made sense that this open-world adventure game focused on the character development of characters you meet in the world, like Nonoi and Jiroda, instead of Nikki herself. The game needs a reason for us to care about the world it's thrown us into, so we have a reason to explore it. It accomplished this by getting us to care about the people in the world through stories about them. I bring this up because I think one of 1.5's biggest missteps is doing the exact opposite. I don't exactly blame players who complained about a lack of character development, because I don't think this is what you asked for, but it's hard not to feel frustrated that the story I don't think needed fixing has been adjusted to make Nikki more important than anything else in the lore. For those who aren't up to speed, when you first start the game after the 1.5 update, whether you're an old or new player, you immediately begin a long cutscene and start a quest that places Nikki in the Sea of Stars. It's established here that Nikki's adventure in Mirrorland so far hasn't been her first, and in fact, previous versions of Mirrorland have been destroyed because she failed to save them. Nikki is able to return to the Sea of Stars when this happens, and is able to go back to Mirrorland from here, meaning another version of Mirrorland. The idea that Mirrorland and all the people in it can be destroyed and Nikki will be fine immediately kills a lot of interest I had in the story. I know another common criticism Love Nikki and Shiny Nikki players had was that Infinity Nikki isn't as dark as those other games. But a story being dark doesn't automatically make it mature or intelligent. This is just bleak, and between this and a Feywish sprite trauma dumping on you out of nowhere in Revelry season.
What happened just now was exactly like a call I went out on years ago. A towering fire consumed everything. The cries of the Feywish sprites echoed everywhere, and there was nothing but endless despair. The despair was so overwhelming. It enveloped me completely. In that moment, it felt like I grew roots pinning me firmly to the spot. There was a time I couldn't save a baby Feywish sprite from a fire. Their cries still echo in my mind all the time. It's like a constant reminder of my failure.
I don't trust the Infinity Nikki writers with a dark story. I also don't understand why the weight of the universe is on Nikki's shoulders, and why that should make her a more interesting character. I actually kind of hate stories about female characters who have to suffer for the sake of the world. The seer character having a maternal coding to her is the icing on the cake here. I'm seriously baffled that this is the same game studio behind Love and Deep Space, a game heavily focused on female autonomy and agency. Instead of Nikki just being the kind of person who will go the extra mile to help people, now she's got this looming threat of the world ending to motivate her. To me, it actually cheapens the character Nikki did have. Before, I understood why Nikki was curious about the dress in her mum's attic, why she wanted to find out more about the miracle outfits after Aina told her to find them. I understood why she started investigating the mysterious coma incidents, and I really wanted to resolve the crisis too when I saw how it affected Nanoi. When we finally crafted the Wishful Rosa, after more adventures that took us from area to area, I understood why the miracle outfits were important. It all connected logically, and the story would have been fine if it kept following this formula of Nikki investigating a kind of catastrophe that ends up needing a miracle outfit to resolve it. The outfit isn't even really what matters, it's just a visual way of showing that it's Nikki's kind heart and perseverance saving the day, since you unlocked pieces of the outfit in the heart of Infinity by progressing the story. Like, do you get it? The heart of Infinity Nikki? It was all the friends we made along the way. Like I said, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it worked fine. Worlds in the multiverse being destroyed and Nikki being both the cause and the only one who can stop it is a lot more abstract and unrelatable. She's got this massive destiny bestowed on her instead of just being a good person. Instead of it being shown she's a hero through her actions, because now those are just fate's design instead of entirely her choice, we see it through her crying over the worlds she couldn't save in the Starseed dress Infold included as a gesture to Nikki series fans. Is this really the character development people have been asking for? A version of Nikki who is miserable over failing to live up to the unfair destiny placed upon her? Leading up to this update, I saw fans upset over the greedy monetization practices. I understand the concerns and agree with those players to a degree, but it didn't stop me being excited for the update. The game was, and still is, as of the time I'm writing this, extremely buggy, as if it was rushed to release without adequate playtesting. It's a really bad look for the game, especially for newcomers joining for the Steam version of the game, but I do expect the bugs to be fixed eventually. I also expect the monetization problems to go back and forth like usual. But there are larger issues here that I don't think are so easy to resolve. I haven't even gotten into how this new story completely changes the intro of the game for new players. So it's not just that the story is great and then suddenly takes a turn that I don't like. New players get a different, worse experience from the start. I had voiced my new player guide and was waiting to make a new account after maintenance for footage in the video, but now I can't recommend new players start the game as it is. I think Infold has broken trust with a lot of players with this update. The news post and special program sold this idea of listening to player feedback, but instead it feels like they don't understand what it is that we want. We wanted a dying system, not a dying system only for whales to fully enjoy. We wanted less filler and more of a reason to keep playing the game with an advancing story, not something that kills the life the world of Infinity Nikki had. And we want to play a professional, polished product, not something rushed to release and full of problems in order to quickly generate revenue. Those are my honest thoughts on the state of Infinity Nikki right now, and I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. If you've been wondering what happened to my No Pulls account videos, I honestly had stopped playing on that account even before this update came out because I wasn't inspired to make more content for it, and I don't know if I will go back to it at this point. I didn't pay much mind to the idea of boycotting the game when the issue was mainly the 11-piece outfits and the die system, because I thought the large rewards balanced out the higher hard pity count, and I didn't understand how greedy the die system was going to be until I saw it in the game. I hope Infold does listen to players who are now girl-cutting the game and announce serious changes soon. I'd honestly like to see the game rolled back to its 1.4 state because I'd prefer to wait a few weeks without new content for them to really make 1.5 what it should be. It's been a rough few weeks as someone who loves the gacha genre, because a lot of the games I play have been disappointing me, and I really didn't expect it from Infinity Nikki too. I've been streaming mainly gacha content over on twitch.tv/cometsignal, but I'd really like to start playing other kinds of games more often, so I'd appreciate it if you came over to support me with that. I can hear the hurt. Man, I love gacha games. I've I've been a gacha game fan for a while, and it's just every so often some shit like this happens where I just think maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe gacha games are bad, you know? They are so predatory, and maybe the positives don't, you know, maybe the pros don't outweigh the cons. And it's like, damn, so then what have I been doing for the past couple of years of my life, right? Mainly playing gacha games. What am I supposed to do here? Oh, this seems bugged out too. Cool. So we couldn't do this because it was bugged. We couldn't do this because it's bugged. I don't know about... Like, this is... These are meant to be new dailies. These are meant to be new dailies and they don't work. Involved. Oh my god. Let me get the yay emote. Yay. Yay! Thank you for making it to the end of this video. Bye.